Welcome to this relaxing yin practice. This is a great practice to use before bed, just to calm down the nervous system, the body, preparing you for sleep. This is also a really great practice to reach for if you're just in the midst of it, having a bit of a stressful day, or just maybe had a stressful encounter or experience. The intention is just for this practice to allow you to drop back into that more restful state, out of a stress response, and so you can feel more calm and aligned. So for props today, we're going to need a bolster, or if you don't have a bolster at home, 2 pillows works great, couch cushions, whatever you have that's about bolster size. And we're just going to begin in a seated position. So right onto the mat space, or you can just tuck that prop up under the hips. Just provides that little bit of support and allows us to relax a little bit more through the low back and the belly while we still feel supported. So we're going to start just by rooting into our mat space, going nice and tall up through the spine. Let's connect with the breath. Nice deep breaths in and out. Maybe even taking a hand to the belly, encouraging the inhale all the way down, as deep as you can into the lungs. And as we exhale, releasing the breath fully and completely. If you feel like you have a lot of excess energy you need to get rid of, then a sigh breath can be really powerful. So inhaling through the nose and exhale. Letting go of that energy. And if you feel comfortable exploring just some sound with the sigh breaths can feel really good, like a big especially if you have some stress to let go of. It always makes me smile too, which lightens the mood and takes us out of that stress response. Good, so throughout our practice, we're just going to continue with those nice, long, slow breaths. If you find yourself pulled away, you can always come back to that and reaching for that sigh breath anytime you need. So we're going to start just by releasing some tension through the shoulders. Let's start with nice rolls through the shoulders, gentle, slow, soft, and subtle. And then going forward. Good. And just allow the shoulders to settle back down. Maybe give them a little wiggle. Just kind of let go of any tension held there that you don't need to hold on to. And then we'll move into the neck. So starting just with some really gentle movements, chin to chest. And then lifting up. So again, we don't need to worry about exploring like maximum movement here. We're just finding really gentle, subtle movements. And start to go side to side. You can swing the head almost like it's a pendulum. And maybe exploring some full circles. So you want to avoid any discomfort here, really. It should feel safe and comfortable for you. Nice and connected with the breath. Back through center, just to kind of shake it, wiggle it. Notice how you're feeling here. Find that breath once again. Good. We're going to move into a really supported forward fold here. So reaching for that bolster or pillows, whatever you have, you're going to pull them underneath of our knees. And make sure we're nice and rooted through the hip bones here. So if you need to kind of wiggle and shift, so we're nice and grounded in. The legs feel supported, low back feels supported. If you need a little bit more height, feel free to tuck something else under here. If you have longer legs than I do, you might want that extra little bit of a lift. Sitting up nice and tall, we're gonna start to just hinge forward gently at the hips. And then as we inhale, we can just gently sweep back up towards an upright torso. Exhale, just starting with that little bit of a hinge. Inhale, lifting up. So we can keep the spine pretty up and down here, nice and straight, or we can start to add in a little bit of a spinal roll. So again, these movements are meant to be really soothing for the body. So don't worry about being in a hurry. Don't worry about finding maximum depth of movement or anything like that. Just settle into a nice rhythmical pattern that feels good, feels safe. And as we're moving, if we unearth or come across any big tensions, those might be through the physical body, or maybe we're starting to feel some emotions coming up, or thoughts or things happening in our mind, then just reach for that cleansing breath, that sigh, exhale. And drawing your awareness to whatever you need to release as you use that sigh. Good. So you can continue flowing and waving here as long as you need, as long as it feels good for you. But as you feel ready, we're going to start to settle into a little bit of a hold here in our folds. So we can keep the chest nice and tall, or we can round right down. If you have blocks or other props handy, you might even want to make a little prop here for your forehead to rest to. So again, we just want the body to feel really supported. Just moving into the shape until we begin to feel that gentle pull, and then just allow ourselves to stay there. There's no need to force this. So we're going to allow ourselves to release tension through the low back, through the hips, maybe all the way up the spine, through the backs of the legs. We're such interconnected beings that when we work with our physical bodies, release tension there, it automatically also creates more space for us through the mind and through our emotional body, through our energetic body. And likewise, works in all directions. That's why oftentimes if we have something we're stressing about mentally and we deal with that mental type of stress, our bodies will feel better, emotionally we'll feel better, energetically. Staying nice and connected with your breath. Just notice if there's any tension in the body that we don't need right now. So are we maybe hiking those shoulders or clenching the jaw? Just allow the shoulders to settle down and back. Create some space through the jaw, through the mouth. Notice we might be gripping through our hands or even through the soles of the feet a little bit. So just kind of relax, create space there. Relax through the core, through the pelvic floor, through the hips. So anywhere where we may just be unconsciously continuing to kind of hold that tension, just allow it to release.
through the forehead. Good. On our next inhale, let's slowly begin to rise. So we can think about stacking those vertebrae like building blocks one at a time, all the way up the spine. Let's just take a couple breaths here. No need to rush or be in a hurry, just sitting with the sensation. Start to pull that prop out from underneath of the knees and make our way over to a kneeling position. So as we arrive here, we're just gonna shift a little bit. So let's start by rocking those hips side to side. Nice and connected with the breath. And then maybe kind of tilting the head the other direction. It's taking a nice little side bend through the spine. And then we'll start to explore just some really gentle cat-cow here. Drop the belly, opening up through the front of the body. So again, don't force it to find our maximum movement. We're just really looking for gentle, supportive, soothing type of movements. Just rocking the body. Good, and then maybe combining those two movements. So maybe starting to find some rotation through the hips, through the spine. Let's make sure we're going both directions. Good. Beginning to take the knees a little wider than the hips. The toes are going to come in towards one another. And let's reach for the pillow or bolster, whatever you have handy at home. We'll start to melt the belly, then the chest, then the forehead, down to the prop. So forehead can rest right to your prop, or if it doesn't feel great having your face down, we can just turn one cheek to the side. And the arms and shoulders should just feel comfortable. So you don't have to worry about finding a more engaged child's pose here. We'll just keep the arms nice and close, shoulders down and back. Just focus on allowing those hips, that whole pelvis to just feel heavy, letting gravity draw us deeper. Relaxing through your belly, through the chest. Just really allowing yourself to sink into the prop, allowing the floor and the mat space and the prop to support you. Let's begin to direct the breath. It's already going to flow here naturally, but let's bring attention to the breath moving into the side body, into the back body. So maybe feeling that gentle expansion of the rib cage through the side and the back. Maybe feeling that little bit of movement along the spine. If there's anywhere in the side or back body that's holding tension, that's holding stress, just direct the breath there. And maybe reach for that side to let go. Do we want the shoulders and the upper back and the neck to be as relaxed as possible? If we've turned the neck to one side, let's just gently switch sides. So bringing the other cheek down to the prop. Just taking a couple of more breaths here. So see if you can allow yourself to sink in and release. A little bit further, a little bit deeper. Let's begin to walk those hands in a little closer to the body as we slowly press ourselves up. Nice and slow here. Shoulders are resting down and back, heart space open. Just taking that prop, setting it off to the side. We're going to come through a seated position, and then just start to lay ourselves down onto our backs. So we'll keep that prop or whatever you're using right now next to you, so it's nice and close, and just start to find some gentle movement through the hips here so we can rock those knees side to side. Ensuring the body feels safe. And bring those knees back through center, and then we're just going to start rocking the pelvis front and back. So gently tilting it forward so the low back comes off the mat, and then kind of squishing the low back into the mat. So really gentle here, just low pelvic tilts. So really gentle way to release tension through the hips and through the pelvis. Then we're going to set up for a supported bridge shape. So we're going to begin to lift those hips just high enough that we can slip that bolster or pillows underneath and adjust it so that the hips feel really supported here. So we feel like we can completely relax through the hips and the pelvis, sinking down into that support here. And just allow ourselves to kind of settle in. Shoulders can be pulled down and back, and the arms just relax wherever they feel comfortable, maybe out alongside the body, or can rest the belly. Connecting with the breath. So if you're feeling really supported here, you can choose to stay just as you are. A couple other options that are available. Our knees can start to come in towards the chest. We can find hold of the legs here, or just even let them sort of rest on their own, arms nice and relaxed. So kind of a knees to chest type of position. Staying there, or we can also explore a legs up position. And you can allow yourself to find stillness or maybe some gentle movements. So just choose whatever feels safe and comfortable for you here today. If you're practicing at night, a legs up position can be a really awesome, amazing position just to help the circulatory system, our lymphatic system, but also energetically just kind of allowing things to flow a little more freely, preparing us for a restful state. And our bodies feel aligned, minds feel aligned, emotions, energy, all of it feels aligned. It's easier to feel relaxed and at ease. It's easier to fall asleep. Just staying here a little while longer wherever you are. And you can explore moving between the positions too, if that feels good. Let's find about 3 more breaths here. Good. If the legs are lifted, just slowly placing them back down to the mat space. And then before we shift out of this supported bridge, let's just find some really gentle movement through the pelvis. Again, those little tilts and rocks, little shifts. So just finding some gentle movement here before we lift into that bridge. And when you feel your body is ready, just lift those hips enough that we can slide that prop out of the way. Slowly release those hips down. And I always like to take a moment just to stretch out long after that one, maybe even reach those fingertips all the way up overhead. Just breathing length into the body. And just preparing for one last supportive posture here. If you are practicing this right before bed and happen to be right in your bed, you can choose just to get into a comfortable position, whatever you're going to want to be in for sleeping. Otherwise, you can join us here in this supported fish shape. So we're going to take our bolster or pillows, Sending it lengthwise up the spine. So short edge is going to come right up to the back of the hips there, and then just slowly lowering ourselves down and back. So your hips are going to be resting to whatever surface you're practicing on. And the spine should feel nice and supportive. If whatever you're using isn't quite long enough for you, you want the head to feel supported here too, you might want to place an extra pillow or something so the head has something to rest to. And our knees can be bent with the soles of feet resting to the mat. You can take your legs nice and long if that feels okay for the low back. Also optional to bring the knees wide and soles of feet together if we're holding extra tension through the groins or the front of the hips here. Again, those shoulders are just tucked down and back. Arms can rest alongside of the body. They can rest onto the belly. You can even kind of take up space if you want to bring them out nice and wide. Just really letting yourself sink into the prop, feeling that gentle opening through the chest, through the heart space, through the whole front body, through the belly. Maybe even gently lift the chin, feeling a nice opening through the front of the throat. Just really opening the front of the body physically, but also energetically. Again, just that permission for things to flow freely. We're inviting everything to fall back into alignment. Into that relaxed state, that easeful state, out of the stress response. So I'll invite you to stay in this supported fish position as long as you need. Or your supported position for sleep, you can just allow yourself to drift right off. If you're needing further relaxation or preparation for sleep for the mind, I would invite you to try one of the Yoga Nidra meditation recordings. If you're practicing midday and having to get back to it, then just invite yourself back slowly with love and compassion. Be sure to thank yourself for taking time on your mat here today, for taking time to tend to yourself. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.